This is High Level Korean with 한국어천재 on TBS EFM.
Professor Dan in the studio.
It's good to be back.
Yes. Good evening. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. I'm so happy it's nice and warm.
Yes.
밖에는 추워 죽겠구만.
그러니까요.
너무 춥다.
약간 이번 주까지만 새해 복 많이 받으세요라고 할 수 있을 것 같아요.
맞죠. 다음 주는 조금 유행이 진한
Right.
느낌 날지 않을까?
It's still the first week.
Exactly. We're good. Yeah.
We are good, but it's already Thursday. 벌써 1월 7일이에요.
맞죠. 목요일이죠.
Ugh, my goodness. We've got lots to look for today. We've got all of these weather terms talking about the cold weather, these advisories, these alerts. 복잡하네요. 진짜.
맞죠. 내용도 많고 좀 어려운 내용이 많습니다, 오늘.
그렇죠.
So, yeah.
시작하기 전에 저희가 퀴즈를 준비해봤는데요. 다음 중 한파주의보를 발표하는 기관은 뭘까요? 1번 질병관리본부, 2번 항만공사, 3번 기상청. 정답 아시는 분들은 샵 1013으로 단문 50원, 장문 100원 유료 문자 보내주시면 추첨을 통해서 커피 쿠폰 드리겠습니다. All right, well, let's get to it. We've got lots to cover today.
We sure do. So just before we start, I want to get into the difference between what a 경보, a warning is, and a 한파주의보, or like a frost or cold spell advisory, right? So.
맞아요. 이게 한파주의보도 있고 한파경보도 있는데요.
맞죠. 네.
차이점
또 심한
알려주세요.
거는 차이점은 바로 그 얼마나 추운지 차이점이죠. So the big difference between a warning and an advisory is how much the temperature is going to drop. So 한파 경보인 경우 전날보다 15도 이상 떨어져서 그리고 그 최저 기온인 영하 15도 이하인 상태 1 이상 계속될 때는 발표되는 거죠. 네.
그렇죠. Yeah. So
발표되는 거. 네.
I don't know if we have this I mean, especially because I'm from LA. These are
How cold does it get there?
Right.
right.
가을, 한국 가을이
그 정도.
LA 겨울이 거라고 볼 수 있는데요. 그래서 이런 term이 it's not familiar. So I looked it up, and I think a good translation would be cold weather or winter weather advisory.
That sounds perfect. Nice and formal. Better
Right.
than like cold spell or simply frost. Right?
Sure.
So, yeah.
And that's compared to the winter or cold weather watch or alerts or warnings.
Exactly. So alert versus advisory or warning, right? So the difference there would be the temperature only drops 전날보다 10도 이상 떨어져서.
이게 주의보죠.
주의보죠. Yeah. 경보는 15도 이상 떨어져서. So a difference of like 5 degrees, right?
Right. So 대부분 먼저 한파주의보를 먼저 떠요.
맞죠. 먼저 발표됐다가 좀 있다가는 뭐 경보 좀 심해지면.
That's right. And 서울 같은 경우는 3년 만에 몇 년 만에 한파경보가
맞죠.
발효됐대요.
제주도도
어제
57년 만에 내렸다고.
Oh my
그러는데,
goodness.
한파경보, 한주의보인가? 네.
So it's been definitely the coldest in, more than 50 years for Jeju.
Poor Jeju, right?
Yeah. So let's take a look at some terms here.
Sure.
With the 경보, these advisories, it comes with a lot of precaution that we must take.
Exactly. And these are often in very formal language. Like the first example I have is 야외 활동 자제. So this is stuff that you use in daily conversation, but 야외 활동 here would be outdoor activity, and 자제 would be refrain from or
Limit.
do less of. Exactly. Restrict, right?
그렇죠. Yeah, especially nowadays, I think we've seen this all year round. Not because of the cold weather, but also because, if it's dusty, 미세먼지
맞네.
때문인만큼 야외 활동 자제하시는 그런 주의보
주의보가
또
맞죠.
특히나 코로나 때문에
나가지 말라는 소리죠.
그렇죠.
Right?
Stay at home.
Exactly. 대신 야외 활동 대신 실내 활동 자주 하시면 될 것 같고요.
That's right, like home-cooked meals.
Exactly. Those looked amazing before.
Yeah, right.
So, yes. So another advisory or another bit of information you might see is 외출 시 내복, 목도리, 장갑, 모자 등으로 몸에 노출된 부분 보온에 유의. So that's a really long sentence there, but I'll just pick it apart here. So 외출 시 would be when you go out. So literally go out time, right? So, and then it talks about all these different kind of ways to warm your body. Which parts of your body? The 노출 부분, the exposed parts. So
Right.
I guess your hands, your feet, neck, etc. Right? So,
Right.
and of course, 보온 would be to keep warm, right? So, and then Yui would be careful of keeping warm, I guess, or try and keep those parts of your body warm, right? So,
That's a good word that you actually brought up, exposed. 약간 노출이라는 단어는 like if something is a bit like revealing. 뭐
Absolutely.
어떤 옷이 너무 야하면 노출이 좀
심해.
심한 건가?
Exactly.
Is it too revealing? But the reason why it's revealing is because skin is exposed.
Exactly. And if you're outside,
Uh-huh.
너무 춥죠, right?
맞아요.
Right? So it could also be like 개인정보 노출, like if there's a privacy leak or a
Leak.
hacking attempt or that kind of stuff too.
That's right.
So, yeah. So that's good. So make sure you do stay warm. Of course, what's your favorite way to stay warm, Punita? Like, do you wear gloves? Or like, I need gloves.
Oh, yes, yeah. Gloves, I think nowadays, 한파주의보, 한파경보가 뜨면 진짜
무조건 장갑.
무조건 그냥 everything, head to toe,
Oh,
my
okay.
ears fall off.
Earmuffs.
Earmuffs,
That's it.
다 필수해요, 진짜. 하나 빼면 고생이에요.
고생. 하루 종일 고생이죠.
Seriously.
Yeah, for me, like 저 같은 경우는 내복은 좀 싫어하는 편이고.
Oh, you do?
너무 답답한 느낌. So like if you're wearing long johns or
Right,
thermals or
right.
innerwear as it's called, right? So yeah. So another bit of information, and this applies more if you have like an underlying ailment, would be 당뇨 환자, 뭐 만성질 환자 등 미리 독감 예방 접종. So if you're a diabetic, so 당뇨 환자, or if you have a chronic disease, so 만성질 환자, then probably a good idea to get a flu shot before it gets really cold, right?
올해 맞았어요?
No comment.
Oh my goodness.
전 기회가 없어가지고.
진짜 너무 바빠가지고.
맞았어야 되는데.
Yes. Well, I mean, lucky for you, I'm sure you're not a diabetic or somebody
So
who
far,
has
so good.
a chronic illness or underlying ailment.
As far as I know, 제가 알기로는 그런
Sure.
거
근데 저
없고.
같은 경우에는 너무 두려워가지고 맞았는데요.
잘했어요.
Then there were actually people that said, hey, if you are 65 and older, 두 번 맞는 것도 괜찮대요.
두 번이나요?
Yeah. So people were actually, some doctors were recommending, if you are quite sick or get sick often, then
Gotcha.
getting your flu shot twice
Twice. Wow. Okay.
could be a good suggestion.
Makes sense. Good. No 부작용은 없었어요?
저는 없었는데
다행이네.
저희 오빠가 맞았는데요. He got the flu. In one day. So 약간 어떤 체질이라고
몸살
볼
같은
수
거.
있는 so certain body types can
Gotcha.
get the shot and be fine with it, but for my brother he just started throwing up.
Poor
and-
guy. Like aches and pains. And
Yeah, right. So I mean that's just
But at least he won't get the flu.
yeah, that's right. At least it won't be like 2 weeks long.
Exactly.
Just for one day.
Not
But,
too bad. I hope he feels better. or
Yes,
felt
yeah, that
better
was a
quickly,
while ago.
right? So.
In any case, we can do a lot of stuff at home as well.
Exactly, yes. So now some stuff here that this is going to sound a bit more serious than the stuff maybe we've talked about before. So if you experience any of the following symptoms, you want to visit the hospital ASAP. So 기억 상실, 방향 감각 상실, 심한 피로 등 느낄 때 저체온 증세 의심 후 바로 병원 내원 하시기 바라고요. So very serious stuff here. So 기억 상실, if you suffer from a loss of memory there. So pretty serious. And if you lose your sense of direction for 방향 감각, I believe, and then 심한 피로, sudden fatigue or really severe fatigue, then you should suspect hypothermia, right? So some pretty serious
Oh,
stuff.
wow.
And probably visit the doctors, right? So.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I think certain people are very fortunate enough to not be able to know what this feels living in Seoul. Very, in apartments or office stills. 반면으로는 주택에서 사시는 분들, 노약자분들은 it's definitely a possibility for them.
For sure, to feel a lot colder or more 야외 활동 많으신 분, right?
Yeah.
So,
And you talk about 저온 그런
저체온 증세,
Right,
exactly.
right.
I believe that's hypothermia.
Oh,
so,
okay,
yeah.
okay. Now
Or
we can,
frostbite as well, yeah. So.
to prevent those things at home, we can have a lot of these, heaters or boilers.
Exactly, but that can be a problem as well. So you want to make sure that you kind of wrap up some stuff around the house. in maybe old clothes or stuff to keep it safe, especially your 계량기 or boiler 배관 등, 혼옷으로 등 보온, right? So
what is 계량기?
okay, some kind of meter. So I'm guessing it's probably 수도 계량기, so some kind of, your water meter, etc. And of course your boiler, so your I guess in English that's a boiler too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So you might want to use used clothes. So this is a really good term, 혼옷. So you'll see that in any recycling bin, like a 혼옷통, where you can donate your clothes
그쵸.
to charity, right? Good stuff. So another word for boiler would also be 난방기.
난방기.
난방기,
그쵸.
exactly.
But
So,
these are a bit different because maybe it's not. 난방을 켰으니까, and we see this on windows as well.
for sure, yes.
So if you go to like these big department stores or even at the banks,
문을 꼭 닫으세요.
Yes.
Right, exactly.
please close the door because the heater or the air conditioner is on.
Exactly.
Some keywords.
And the air conditioning would be 냉방, of course.
냉방.
냉방, 난방,
그쵸.
right? So yeah, good stuff. Another one here. So if we're talking about frostbite here, really serious issue. So 동상에 걸렸을 때 비비거나 갑자기 불에 되지 말고. So this is talking about if you suspect frostbite, don't suddenly go rub your hands or try and warm yourself in front of a
really?
fire. Yeah, which is kind of intuitively what you would want to do, right?
그쵸.
But instead, 그거 하지 말고 따뜻한 물로 세척 후, so wash your hands in warm water, run your hands under warm water, 보온을 유지한 채 바로 병원 내원. So try and keep your hands warm and again, rush yourself to the hospital.
Right. I mean, it's better to be safe than sorry. Some people will think, 그렇게 심한 건 아니겠지라고 생각하면서.
따뜻해지겠지, right? But
Yeah.
don't play any chances if you suspect frostbite. Yeah,
Sure, that's right. Well, if you're just tuning in, we're talking about all the cold weather terms. 이걸 어떻게 설명할 수 있을까요? 겨울철 한파 발생 시 주의사항.
주의사항, stuff to be aware of, stuff to be careful of when there's a cold weather advisory.
That's right. And so we prepared a quiz for our listeners as well. 다음 중 한파주의보를 발표하는 기관은 뭘까요? 1번 질병관리본부, 2번 항만공사, 3번 기상청. 정답을 아시는 분들은 샵 1013으로 단문 50원, 장문 100원 유료 문자 보내주시면 추첨을 통해서 커피 쿠폰 드리겠습니다.
Woohoo.
Yeah, no, we're also
It's a good one.
talking. Yeah,
It's
right. Do you know the answer?
I do.
Okay.
No hints. Yeah, right.
좀 쉬운 걸로
좀 쉬운
한번
거죠?
해봤는데요.
네, 네.
I mean, today, was it difficult to come to work?
Well, I'm a really slow walker and really careful anyway. But for people who aren't, you may want to keep the following advice in mind, right? So, 빙판길 낙상사고 방지를 위해 보폭을 줄이기. Some really difficult words here. So, 빙판길, of course, is an icy road or icy sidewalk. And then 낙상사고, so some kind of falling or tripping over yourself on an icy road. So to prevent that, 방지를 위해 보폭을 줄이기. So what would you imagine 보폭 is?
보폭 kind of sounds like range.
Range, yeah. I guess the distance of your step, perhaps? Yeah. How much space?
Strides.
That's the word. Bingo. Stride. Yeah. So I would say keep your stride as short as possible.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
원래는 약간 운동을 하기 위해서 긴
보폭을 늘려야 되죠.
그렇죠.
보통. Yeah.
Talk about longer strides when we
Exactly.
want to work out a little bit more.
Burn those calories.
That's right. 근데 겨울에는 안전히.
맞죠. 보폭을 줄이는 걸로.
That's right.
So exactly. So, but I'm a pretty slow walker anyway, so I was fine. And then some other advice just to keep safe as you're out on the road or walking. So 옷주머니에 손을 놓거나 스마트폰을 보며 걷지 않기.
그래요. 이게 사고가 많이 발생을 하더라고요.
맞죠. 눈이 안 오더라도 뭐 스마트폰을 보면 걸어가다가 무조건 뭐 부딪히거나 넘어지는 경우가 있죠.
That's right. And you also can't see who you're bumping into or if there are cars around as well.
Exactly. Or my biggest worry is I won't see someone I know, like if I'm walking in the neighborhood.
그렇죠. 인사하고 싶은 마음으로
맞죠. 예.
고개를 들어야 돼요.
맞죠. 이웃 뭐 먼저 인사하는 법이죠.
So 옷 주머니에 손을 넣기.
Exactly. So putting your hands in your pocket. Now I'm guilty of this every day
Right.
in winter. Even with gloves, I'm like, it's so cold. Let me put my hands in my pocket. But
Yeah.
넘어지면 그거 좀 아주 위험하다고 들었는데.
Right. And so we're told to do the penguin walk.
Exactly. Hands at your side. Exactly. Very slow. Yeah.
굽이 낮고 좁고 그런 굽이 낮은 신발을 신어야 된다고
맞죠.
하는데요.
하이힐 신으면 약간 좀 위험할 수도 있으니까 그거 미끄러움이 방지된 신발 신기. So 아이젠 붙거나 좀 뭐 등산화나 좀 강한 신발 신는 거는
예, 그래서
어떨까요?
올해도 저는 그 스노우 부츠,
스노우 부츠, 맞죠.
눈 부츠라고 해야 되나요?
운동화, 등산화 약간 사이에 있는.
Well, it's kind of like hiker boots. It has more of a cleat. I don't know if our listeners.
Wow,
our viewers
respect. Okay.
Yeah, I'm trying to show it.
You're fine. You can walk in any kind of snow, right?
Yeah, well, I think 서울에 그렇게 눈이 온 적이 별로 없었어요.
북악산 혹시 가보셨나요?
No, I haven't.
그쪽에
Like,
좀 많이
그래요?
내려옵니다. 네.
시내 쪽에
시내
별로
쪽에는 거의
없어가지고
없죠. 네.
제가 살았을 때는 근데 경기 북쪽으로 올라가니까
맞습니다.
더 많이 내리더라고요. So I bought a pair of boots and lucky enough, I mean just in time, we're
Perfect
getting
timing.
quite a bit of snow here
We
in Seoul
did.
this
We
year.
got, what, 7 to 10 centimeters
Yeah,
yesterday. So, yeah.
sure.
Good stuff. So, yeah, be careful of what shoes you wear. And then, let's see, if you're driving, so we'll move on from walking to driving here. So, 도로 결빙에 대비해. So, to prepare for snowy or icy roads, 결빙 here would be frozen roads, you might want to look into snow chain, 영화 calcium 등 월동용품. So, some
wow.
kind of snow related, safety devices for your car. So,
Right.
and I've seen spray-on chains. You can say, I believe you can look that up as snow spray. You can buy that. And if you need more serious equipment, maybe snow chain as well. So.
Right. I mean, it's something that you might want to invest. They're always inexpensive.
Exactly. There's cheap stuff. There's more expensive stuff. And of course, you want to 월동용품 미리 구비. So you want to prepare that in advance, not the day it snows. Yeah.
No, it might not be as useful.
No, 사후 관리는 별 도움이 안 됩니다. 이런 경우는. Right, so.
And of course, when we talk about staying warm, one of the biggest things is, just keep your body temperature
Exactly.
high. You want to, burn those calories. And so you want to start working out.
Exactly. Keep moving. Don't stay in the same place, right?
네.
So, exactly. And then today this happened to me, in fact. So again, when it comes to driving, 출발하기 전에 자동차 사전 점검. So I walked out of the house today and my car was covered in snow.
Right.
And pro tip here, 꿀팁 하나 드릴게요. Any credit card or bank card is the perfect device to kind of clean off the snow from your car.
really?
Yeah. Without scratching your car. Yeah.
That's a good tip. 신용카드로 눈을 약간 긁어내어서.
맞죠. 한
와우.
5분도 안 걸렸어요.
그럼 신용카드 한번 빌려줄 수 있어요?
그거는 좀 한번 생각해 볼게요.
Yes, okay. Sorry. Well, let's talk about, being safe, especially when drinking as well. 과도한
yes.
음주 같은
음주는
경우에는.
아니면 무리한 일, 특히 신체적인 일을
Right.
꼭 피하시면 됩니다.
네. 과도한 means
Over the top.
overt.
Exactly. Yeah, overt, too much of anything. And the same would apply to 무리한. So when we say 무리한 일 or 과도한 음주, too much drinking, too much physical activity as well could be dangerous too.
Right. And so we say 무리하지 마.
Exactly, right.
Don't go above and beyond.
Exactly. Don't
대충 해.
go over the top, right. 그것도 아닐 텐데. Right?
대충 마셔. 대충 마셔.
대충 마셔. 조금
대충
마셔.
운동해. 그렇죠. We got one last thing here. What was
Oh,
that?
sure. So just as we talked about diabetics, 당뇨 환자, and also chronic people with chronic ailments, 만성질 환자 before, you should. We also want to tell people who are really young, so 영유아, very young infants, or 노약자 등, or 노약자 meaning senior citizens, to be careful or to stay warm indoors. So 영유아 노약자들 위해 실내 난방과 온도 관리에 유의. So make sure, especially if you're older, you might not feel the cold. So make sure to keep the house warm.
Right. What's the difference between 영유아 and then 유아?
I believe 영유아 would be really young infants. 유아 would be slightly older. I'm not sure about 몇 개월수.
All right.
뭐
Infant,
그 정도는.
toddler?
Probably,
그 정도?
exactly,
Okay.
yeah.
All right. Yeah, well, hopefully our listeners, learned a few keywords here of how to stay warm in English and in Korean. today.
Both, yeah, hopefully. Exactly.
Yeah, well, thank you very much, Professor Dan, for being in the studio.
Always
We'll
happy to
see
be
you
here.
Next week.